on your football team within your organization, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about a team that continued to fight regardless of circumstances going into the game and regardless of circumstances during the game, whether it was a weather delay or poor play, poor coaching, whatever you want to call it. The guys continued to fight, and, ought to make you proud to be in the garnet and black, in my opinion. So really proud of our football team, just to hang in there and do what you have to do to win games. And that's what we did. We played outstanding red zone defense in the first half. Our run defense needs to be really looked at in what we're doing. Disappointed there. They had no third down conversions in the second half. And offensively, we kept chipping away. We kept chipping away. Played through the weather, which was tough at times. Obviously, the two block punts were critical, but they also had some issues on their side because of the weather as well. But I'm so proud of our football team, part of being a Gamecock and continuing to fight and never quitting. And that was a lot about this football team today. I appreciate the fans that stayed throughout, and it was certainly as loud as it could be there in the fourth quarter, and we appreciate them sticking through a couple of rain delays and all the whatnot that we had to. But hell of a day to be a Gamecock. Go ahead.
Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, David, with the first one.
Team never got its head down and never looked bad. I mean, guy hits a 57-yarder. Even then, did you see any head hanging?
Guys kept playing. Kept playing. We knew he was a really good kicker coming in. So we talked to our guys about stuff like that. They understood that, and he's a really good kicker. And certainly, right before he, the 10-minute warm-up was stopped before we went to the second to finish the game. There, he hit one from the same distance. So we knew. It's part of it.
Coach, could you just go through the process of making the call that Scarnecchia was going to play, and then also update folks on where Jake stands?
Well, Jake was cleared to play today from a standpoint it would probably be limited. My biggest concern is in any situation with a student athlete is can they protect themselves on game day, and I had a huge concern for that personally. He was probably could have gone out there and done some things. I don't know. He would have been limited. To be honest with you. I'll know more probably Tuesday of next week where his status is. Mike got the majority of the reps. We got confidence in Mike. We've always had confidence in Mike. He's never been asked to do it in that stage, and he performed extremely well. You think about in terms of being a first-time starter and under that weather, that's a pretty daunting task, and he did a fantastic job. He converted some critical third downs, especially in the second half, to keep drives alive. At times it was difficult as far as the ball handling and things were concerned. We were trying to get a dry ball in as much as we could. So was Missouri. But it's when you're under those circumstances, it's hard, especially for a first-time starter. So extremely proud of him. I can hear you.
Is that the most bizarre game you've ever involved in?
That'd probably be number one.
How did you guys have to adjust?
Control what you can control. We can't control the weather. We talk to our players all the time in our organization. Just control things you control. It's no different in life. Life's unfair. You're going to have things that happen to you. And I try to balance football and life with our guys all the time. I talk to them after the game. We responded. 10% of life's what's happened to you. 90% is what you do about it. You got to respond in life. Things are going to go against you. That's part of it. So what? Now what?
What is the conversation like during that delay where you guys are in that high energy, tense moment, and then all of a sudden you have to break, and then all of a sudden you have to come back and just go right back?
You got to get your juice back, man. You got to get your juice back. No choice. Go back in. We went over the adjustments the first time. We went back on the field. They told us to go back in. I told the staff, I said, let's give them about 8 minutes and let them eat a little bit and get some fluids back in their bodies. We're going to go back and we're going to do it again. And that's what we did. And our guys came out and responded. We've been in that situation multiple times now. So it's our guys understand.
As Mike continued to complete passes, how much did you open things up sporadically as you went through the game and realized that he probably could handle more than a heavy run attack?
Well, going into the game, we felt very comfortable about Mike handling whatever. The weather was an issue, and just quite frankly, and we felt pretty good in some things in the run game. They brought a corner pressure a couple times. We missed on the perimeter. We would have had big gainers, and we just missed. We ran into what we wanted to, and Mike got us in and out of the right run. So we had more planned going in the game, but when the sky opened up on us there, it's kind of hard sometimes to get in a drop back game.
Go in the back, Mike.
Will, based upon some of the teams you've been around in the past, I mean, what can a win like this do, especially all the adversity you guys had to overcome?
Well, again, we've been in some situations that maybe you could question how we've responded. I've never once questioned our effort. I never one time in 5 ball games this year questioned our effort. Sometimes I've questioned our focus. Sometimes I've questioned our discipline a little bit, our composure, but I've never questioned the effort that this football team plays with. And now you've coupled that with made some plays, made some smart decisions, had really good focus on what we needed to do, and just do the simple things better. And that's what we need to continue to focus on.
Coach, what was the key to frustrating Missouri's pass offense in the red zone? I believe Drew Lock went 0 for 7 or something like that down inside the 20-yard line.
Those pass zones condensed down there. You stopped the run, which we were able to for the most part. Didn't out in the field. But, you know, when you're able to condense those pass zones, we do a lot of red zone defense. You got to be good in the red zone. And I knew in the first half when we kept holding the field goals that we could turn this thing in the second half.
Will, can you run through injuries? Is Dennis Daly okay?
Yeah,
Joseph
Dennis
Charleston?
had a hip flexor, but he's going to be fine. And AJ had a concussion, and he'll go through the protocol.
Joseph Charleston okay?
Mm-hmm.
Will, how big, over here, Will, how big was holding them to the 56-yard field goal? They got the points, but, I mean, it allowed you to you guys still have time on the clock.
It was a huge hold, number one, and it was 3 and out, number two, because of the clock. You go 118 with 2 timeouts left. And that was my biggest concern. They get a first down, then you start having to use timeouts, and they're going to end the game on you, kicking a field goal. So that was a tremendous stop, for our guys in that situation.
Well, you mentioned the 2 punts. Was that just the weather, wet ball and that kind of
No, we cut a guy loose on the first one. I need to go back and look at the protection. It was the second to end man that we need to look at that, and I got to catch the snap on the other one. We get the punt off in those situations. We went to a hippo protection, so we went to a 3-man shield. We ought to one-step punt that. We have one gunner that goes down and covers, and we need to obviously work a little bit more of the wet ball with our special teams.
It seemed like you're playing a little mix and match in the secondary. Was that kind of performance-based, and how did you feel some of the younger guys kind of stepped up, moving into different spots?
I thought Israel did a really nice job for a true freshman under these circumstances against a quarterback like that. Jan made a fantastic play on our sideline, and we dove and baited him into the deep ball throw on our sideline. We got guys continuing to come on. R.J. Roderick made a couple nice plays on special teams. He needs to continue to come on for us. He's a really talented guy. So we just, J.C. Horn continues to play well. Rashad Fenton's covering well. So just continue to get more guys be able to play winning football.
Was it tough to have to do that with some of the performance issues?
No, if they don't play good, they go on the bench.
Brian called plays from the sidelines once the headset started functioning a little bit. How do you feel like he handled that? How do you feel like the offense did with him calling plays?
Good. I mean, again, there was a lot of issues as far as weather was concerned, as far as the ball handling and things, and that was something that was an issue in the game. So, again, we hit some things in the run game. We were patient in the run game, which is something we need to continue to be, and we will. And I thought we called some really nice third down conversions that were open passes that Mike hit in the second half. So, I mean, I was really pleased, and we've had the headsets go out again. I had that happen a year ago. They left the door open at halftime. When you leave the door open at halftime, rain gets in there, doesn't it? And that's not real good for electronics. I mean, I'm not an electrician, but I do know that. We got an electrician in our house called Bob. He's damn good. We ought to call Bob, man him up at the house, He was at the house Friday morning, that's why I know.
Amidst all of the tension of the last drive and the weather and everything, what was Mike's mood like? It was just the first time doing it.
Never changes. Mike's the same all the time. He's extremely bright, extremely intelligent, always seems to be in a good mood, upbeat. But he handled the moment extremely well.
Well, you mentioned last year before Parker had that game-winning kick against La Tech. You were confident in him. You told him a few things. How has his progression been in this past year? Obviously, he had some struggles last year, but this year seems to be going real good.
Right. I had all the confidence in the world in him. I mean, he's hit the ball extremely well throughout camp. We've challenged him constantly. I think taking the kickoff duties from him is a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. To give Alex that, because he's been kicking the ball well, I just think the amount of times your leg is swinging a lot, it sometimes becomes difficult. So that was something that was not a negative toward Parker at all. That was something we needed Alex to do that, to take that off Parker.
Brian Edwards had 7 catches for 73 yards, including I think 1 on the last drive and 2 midway through the fourth quarter. What do you think of his performance, especially in the fourth quarter?
I thought he was outstanding, like he is most every time he puts on that garnet and black. And he plays hard. You know, it's important to him. He's a great kid.
Can you talk about after it looked like they had scored on a 70-yard touchdown run, and then he came back and they reversed it and said he went after 10, that you were able to hold them to nothing out of that? That seemed to turn the game.
But no, I think I agree 100%. We got misfit on the counter play, and then we missed it out of the middle field. You know, really disappointed. You know, our backside backer, we've got to vice the puller. We didn't vice it, and they spit on us, and that's disappointing. But we were able to keep them in the green, and that's what we always talk in terms of, to give us another at-bat to get a stop. And that was a huge, huge possession in the game that certainly we go down and score, take the lead, I believe, and then they got an opportunity to go back and swing the game, and then our guys. But, you know, that says a lot about your players. You know, your players continue to fight. We didn't point fingers. You know, we didn't always play the way we want to play, but those are things we need to continue to clean up as coaches. But that says a lot about the culture of your program and where things are headed. We need to continue to gain more depth. You saw us play Damani. You saw us play Rosendo Lewis. You saw us Israel in the secondary. You know, Ricky and JJ continue to play more. Those are all true freshmen. And you got to continue to bring those guys along.
How much was the fake field goal just being in no man's land, or was there something you saw on film with Missouri that you felt you could take advantage of?
No, we felt good about it. I felt good at 4th and 7, not 4th and 9. And that's about what we got. We got 7 yards. Just blocked beautifully. Bailey hit it, exactly what we wanted. It was in kind of no man's land as far as Parker attempting the field goal under the circumstances. I did not want to get one blocked, you know, from that deep. You know, that would have been right at a 52, 53-yard field goal. But it was, I wish it was 4th and 7, but it was 4th and 9. We took the shot. I was scared that Mike would come across and make it, and he made the play.
Will, Mark Way from, of all places, Missouri. What does that say, you know, about the depth of the roster that you were talking about?
Well, again, huge play in the game to go down the field on the winning drive and catch the ball. They bust the empty look, and we gave them, and that was a fantastic call by Brian. Mike put the ball in the money, and to have Kyle make that play against the home state school and his dad, you know, that's pretty neat.
We've talked about in the past with good offenses, they're going to get their yardage, but situation-wise, they were in the red zone a lot. Your defense was able to respond and be able to hold them to field goals. How impressed were you just the way they answered?
Well, I think they had 8 red zone trips, and they scored touchdowns on 3. That's really good red zone defense. That's as good as they'll be in the country. So he's a fantastic player. Thank goodness he's a senior. I mean, this guy can make every throw. And it's ridiculous, some of the balls he's throwing out there. I mean, the ball that Jan picked off was a phenomenal throw. Their guy should have made the play, to be honest with you. But, I mean, this guy can flick it. I mean, he's going to make a bunch of money. I'm glad he's a senior, I can tell you that. But, you know, we pride ourselves on playing well in the red zone. That's something that's really important. I knew, again, the first half we kept holding them down there, that we would have a chance to flip this thing.
You know, a game like this, so back and forth, you know, delays, kind of all kinds of things going wonky, some sloppy mistakes from both teams along the way. From a coach's perspective, is there kind of a learning curve to, you know, winning games like this?
Well, we went through a weather delay at Vanderbilt, so we've been through it, unfortunately. But I just, it's an example for our guys, and regardless of your circumstances, you don't let your circumstances define who you are. You know, and you make the decision to define who you are as a person, and that's true in life and it's true in football.
Going against a quarterback like Locke, how do you feel your cover guys covered his targets? A lot of pass breakups in this game. You
know, 81 was an issue. He had 4 catches for 13 yards. So that was extremely, you know, we defended him extremely well. Obviously, they didn't have 84 here today, which was, to me, was a big-time vertical guy. Johnson in the slot had 3 catches for 40 yards. He is a really good football player. So they got some guys on the perimeter and the tight ends, you know. But you know, their run game was working, and that's why they stuck with the run game. So I don't blame them for doing that. I would have too.
Coach, with everything that this team had been throughout this week, with not knowing just exactly the weather conditions and that sort of thing, how much does this team grow from a win like this, especially moving forward?
Well, again, you know, it's something that you obviously as a player or a coach you can fall back on and know that you fought through some adversity, you fought through some tough circumstances, and you came out of them on a good side. So that's where you draw from it. But you know, we got to clean up a lot of things, you know, on our team as far as our run defense and some different things that we got to clean up. But certainly, you know, I knew this about this team. They're going to play hard. I do know that, and when the guys continue to fight and push through it, I'm proud of them.
All right, let Coach go.
All right, thanks, guys.